In this video, we're going to go ahead and go through some of the settings in Zotero. Now, once you usually set this up, you don't have to worry about it again. But it is important to make sure that we get these right, so it is saving the information and syncing your data how you want it to, if you want it to. All right. So on a Windows, you'll see here I have File, Edit, View, Tools, Help. On Mac, it's kind of hidden up here. You have to get the drop down, but you should get something very similar. In there, you should find Preferences, and it will look something like this. All right. So this is going to set everything up for us about how Zotero is going to handle your citation data you're saving. Should it automatically clip screenshots of your web page? Should it automatically download PDFs, things like that? So we can see here file handling. We have automatically take snapshots when creating web pages, automatically attach associated PDFs and other files, retrieve metadata. Okay, yep, we're all good with that. All right, now this open PDFs using Zotero. Zotero 6 was the first version of Zotero to have a built-in PDF reader. You are able then to also edit those PDFs. Well, edit, you can highlight and annotate, take notes on those PDFs. You can't really edit them. All right, but that's all going to stay inside Zotero. If you were to take that PDF out of Zotero, you would lose those highlights and annotations unless you save them directly to the PDF. All right, but it still is a very handy feature if you intend on using Zotero for all your research information, your sources, your notes, all that. All right, I don't like to automatically tag items with keywords and subject headings. I prefer to use my own tagging. So we got that. Groups, most of us aren't going to be using groups, so you can just leave that as it is. Now I leave all the rest of this like it is. Now when I go to sync, here you're going to get settings, data syncing, and you're going to have username, password. All right, you don't have to do this. If you just want it to exist on your computer, on your local laptop, and not sync anywhere, you don't need an account to use Zotero. Now, one of the features of Zotero is that it has a web library where it basically takes all your information from your computer, your laptop, and it puts it in the browser for you. You need an account for that. All right. Now, there are a couple caveats to this. First, if you have an account, you get a very limited amount of storage for free. If you're only going to sync your citation information and not PDFs, not screenshots, it's usually enough for most people. You won't have to purchase any additional storage. If you want to sync all that information to your online library, you will probably need to get an account. It's relatively cheap. They're a nonprofit. I think for unlimited storage, it was $100 or $120 a year, but they have different levels from $20 a year to $40. If that's how you want to go about doing it, that's great. I usually get the unlimited storage and just sync it. If you have an iOS device, it has an app that you can get in the App Store that will sync then to your phone or iPad. Zotero 7, which is currently in beta, has an Android app. If you pay for the storage, it will sync those things to your Android devices. But like I said, you don't need it. You can just not set up sync for the time being. If you want to, you can create an account. Make sure you remember this. This is not affiliated with Morningside or with us, the Hickman-Johnson-Furrow library, all right? This is open source software. It's up to you to manage and deal with it. All we do is recommend it because it's such a robust software and so many of us use it. All right. Search, you don't have to really do anything with that. Export, you really don't have to do anything with that either. But when you get to cite, you do want to choose which citation software or style you're going to be using. All right, and so you can see here we have, here's APA, here's Chicago, and the 3 different versions of Chicago. And you can go, here's MLA. All right, so those are the big ones. But we do also have people on campus that use nature and science. And if you don't see those in here, you can always click Get Additional Styles, and it will open up this repository. And you can go ahead and start searching. But if you see here, they got almost 10,500 styles. So more than likely your style is going to be in there. And to install it, it's pretty easy. Just go ahead and search for it. All right, and then they do show you examples of what it's going to look like, so you can make sure it's the correct one. Um, but then when you've decided what you want, you can just go ahead and click it, and it will. Now here it is, and now you're all set. When you're ready, then you can just click it and leave it there, and then move on to Word Processor tab here. All right, now I'm pointing this out now. If you have Microsoft Word already installed, you may have to hit install it here. Otherwise, a lot of times it will do automatically. All right. So if you have issues with Microsoft Word having the Zotero information, and we'll cover this later, you can come here and hit reinstall. All right. If you're using something else like LibreOffice, you would need to install that from here. If you're using Google Docs, all you need is that extension I showed in the first video. Okay. So that would be right here. And when you're in Google Docs, it will simply save it. It will it'll give you that bar for Zotero right in your Google Doc editor. And then you can go ahead and insert the citations from your Zotero library into it. Now advanced, don't really have to do anything with here. Files and folders, we'll talk about this later because I'll show you a couple of different ways to set it up so you don't have to pay for storage, but you can still sync and have your storage linked. Shortcuts and feeds, we're really not going to cover any of that, so that should be about it. Hit OK, and you should be good to go with your settings. The next video, we'll go ahead and show you how to save and some of the features of editing and working with citations inside of Zotero.